Hello and welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show. We're chatting all things Leeds United with myself, Stephen Brown, and joining me as ever is Jason Booker. Jason, how are we doing, mate?
Very good, mate. Happy Thursday to you and everyone. We're nearly through another week, and before you know it, it's going to be bloody Christmas.
Is it me or are these weeks just zipping by? I had the Sunday scaries 5 minutes ago, and then all of a sudden it's like nearly game time again. I can't believe it.
It's mad, isn't it? Especially when you've got a lot going on, and then football's consuming a fair bit of your time. Like it's like, oh, it's Champions League tomorrow. Oh, it's the League Cup tomorrow. Oh, right, okay. Oh, now it's Saturday, and it's like it's just it flies around before you know it, doesn't it?
Absolutely wild, absolutely wild. Well, it's our new 11 o'clock Thursday morning slot, so welcome along if you're watching us live. Get your comments in, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and the same again if you're watching later. Get a comment in on what you thought of what we've discussed. Just wanted to jump on. We're going to have a little chat about kind of post-Wolves, that fantastic feeling of a week after you've won a game and it's all sunshine and light, but just getting into some of the nuts and bolts, some of the analysis, some of the takes and the general feeling about it. And of course, we're going to look ahead to a huge game against Bournemouth at the weekend, high-flying Bournemouth. But Jay, I mean, it's always a good feeling, isn't it, when you've won on Saturday? It's like a pressure valve being released, isn't it? You know, because obviously we were so unlucky against Fulham and you know, after that game, it was okay. We've won 1 in 4. We've not scored a goal since the Everton game, and there was all these little things just building up a little bit. And then to go and beat Wolves, score some goals, it's just a great feeling for that week that follows, then, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a funny one, isn't it? Because we have replaced last year's relief of winning games with this year's version of relief of winning games, because it kind of feels a little bit like that, doesn't it? You know, last year it was just a case of, right, okay, another one ticked off. Thank God we've got through that one. And we needed to do it every single week last season. Whereas this season, it's kind of a case of, right, there's one of the wins that we're going to get that if we do stay up, we're going to have needed to obviously achieve that. So it feels, every Premier League victory feels massive. It just feels huge. And I've got to say, I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying watching the games and enjoying them as a spectacle to kind of on a game by game basis, rather than thinking too far ahead and thinking, oh, this is hugely impactful to the season. You know, I'm just thinking about trying to win almost like a cup final. It's very cliche, but you know, 38 cup finals, isn't it? That's kind of a little bit what it's like for us. Because until you're safe in the Premier League, especially in your first, I'd say 2 or 3 seasons, nothing else really matters. So picking up 3 points away from home, and you know, we're now 7 points ahead of Wolves after 5 games. That's huge. That is absolutely huge. You know, they're going to be one of the teams that, if we go down, will probably finish either in there with us or just in front of us. And the fact that we've got a 7-point head start if you were starting the season today is absolutely huge. So I'm feeling optimistic. I'm feeling enthusiastic about what we've seen. The season as a whole, I think, has been impressive. While not scintillating, I think there's been a lot to like and a lot to build on. And you know, we're up there with one of the most difficult teams to beat. Outside of the Arsenal game, we've barely conceded an open play chance. Really, when you think about it. So we've carried on the hallmarks of a lot of what made us really good last season. You know, the Wolves victory, it looked very much like any away game that we'd have had last season. It did, just with a little bit more quality on the pitch from the opposition, but it did. We got 3-1 up. We sat back and we played a mid block in the second half where we looked to hit on the counter. We couldn't just carry on playing the same way that we did. We've not got that level of quality within the ranks to do that. You know, some people are saying, oh, why didn't we take it to them in the second half? Because we're not Liverpool or Manchester City. You know, Manchester City spent the whole of the second half against Arsenal holding on at 1-0 up. There's a reason they sat back as well, because that's what you have to do when you're up against opposition players that can hurt you. So, yeah, mate, I'm super enthused, and every week that goes by, I'm more confident that this team can stay up.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's been super competitive. I think there's only one game and it feels more and more like an outlier every time you kind of look at it and another game ticks off. And I really wanted to kind of get your take on kind of some of the reaction and some of the kind of outside noise, inside noise about that Wolves performance and what's happening as a whole. I mean, it kind of started Saturday night. I put on Match of the Day. I was like, right, here we go. Great stuff. We weren't bottom of the pile either. We were quite high up in the running order, which was nice. But kind of most of the post-match analysis, well, all of it was basically, well, Wolves made 3 mistakes. It was 3 bits of horrible defending, and that's why, you know, Leeds ended up winning the game. And I can appreciate they've got a small amount of time to kind of piece together analysis. They're not going to be able to look at anything in depth. And yeah, just some of the reaction to it, it felt it's been very tailored towards Wolves are just horrible. And, you know, Leeds managed to kind of scrape a win. And I mean, some people were throwing XG and shots on target and possession stats. And it's like, I just don't know how many more times we can say about game state. Like, all that happened in the second half. For me, the game plan was perfect. I didn't want us getting caught in transition in that second half.
Why would you?
Clear-cut chances. Like, we considered no clear-cut chances. They had a couple of half chances that I wouldn't have expected to be conceding from. Why would we get chopped to half? I don't care if the XG at the end of the game, they had double us because they had a bunch of pot shots and headers from here and everywhere. It doesn't mean anything. If you watch that game, we did all our business in the first half and we protected what we had in that.
100%, mate. You know, the thing is for the media, and I'm going to come on to bashing a couple of content creators in this one as well, because this is the reality. It doesn't make for exciting or controversial reading or listening when you are praising the pragmatic football of Daniel Farke. It just doesn't. It's not attractive in the same way that the Bielsa ball was. You know, they couldn't look at what Bielsa did in season 1 as an example and do anything other than praise how exciting it was, because it was so painfully obvious that it was going to go one way or the other, and that's what it did. The second that it started going wrong for Bielsa, they smashed him to bits.
Yeah.
They smashed him to bits. So, you know, and content creators, and I'm not putting them all in this bracket, but a lot of the high-profile Leeds content creators, all they care about is the views, the video and the analysis gets. That's it. And they'll say whatever they feel like they need to say to stoke up as much engagement, talk, controversy as they possibly can. And, you know, not all of them are like that, thankfully, but a lot of them are. And that's just a reality. And the same goes, like I say, for the widespread media. There's no, I shared the other day, and I shared it with you guys on Twitter. Jacob Horsfall delivered an unbelievable tactical analysis, about 20 minutes long, so well worth watching if you're a Leeds fan, of why and what Leeds did during the Wolves game and they've done during the season so far. He's a Burnley fan who basically breaks down all sorts of different elements of football, but he was especially focusing his attention on Leeds and what they've done extremely well throughout the season. And he's saying that he's super impressed by the way that Daniel Farke started this season over the 5 games, even more impressed through the 5 games of this season than he was when he achieved 100 points last season. He knows his football. He knows his stuff. And you can just tell if you go and listen, if you're interested to listen to what's actually happening when you're watching Leeds play, you'll start to come around to it. If you're not, and your agenda is just so buried, then fine. Go support Mateo Joseph, Laja Ramazani, and, you know, whoever else in Spain. And because that's what it is. It's just
100%.
It's just a bias that people can't let go of. And everything that we've seen outside of Arsenal, and I think, you know, we've said it to death, Arsenal will be able to do that to anybody. We've looked really, really solid, really good, with a plan, you know, setting up in a certain way, trying to play through the lines. And once the creativity came, which it did the other day against Wolves, you know, and a bit of clinical edge, we took the chances and we won the game. So.
Absolutely. No, I agree with all that. And that video, by the way, is brilliant. It's probably the first video I sat down. I just thought, at last, someone's kind of able to articulate what we're seeing and why it was so good and why it's not just a fluke. I mean, is it any coincidence we've made Everton, Newcastle, Fulham and Wolves look really, really average, and we've competed against them? And in certainly 3 of those games, I thought we were the better team, clearly. You know, it's no coincidence. These things don't just happen.
Well, what I was just going to say there is the fan base will be quick to say that the players are crap. Brendan Aronson, Dan James, amongst others, they'll say that they're not good enough, but then give the manager no credit when he is able to orchestrate them into winning games and winning points and scoring goals and playing smart football. The 4 games that I take, we were never going to get anything from Arsenal. So let's just rule it out. Whether it were 5-0 or 1-0 is irrelevant. You know, the take the other 4 games, we have got a really good Premier League sample size there to show that our manager knows exactly what he's doing. Yeah. You know, you've said it, I've said it. We are both like even more impressed with what he's been able to do over the start of the season, and we know he's got shortfalls within the squad. You know, these same people that bashed Daniel Farke are also the same ones that will then bash the 49ers for not bringing in more attackers. Well, do we need more attackers, or can Daniel Farke do the job? You know what I mean? It can't. It can be both. It definitely can be both. But if you're leaning on the side that he needs more reinforcements, you then have to give him more credit when the results come in.
That feels really logical and straightforward to me, and I don't understand how people can't think of that. Robbie, thanks for your comment. Morning, lads. I couldn't care less about XG. I'm only interested in G. Exactly. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, to kind of focus it down into one player who I'm baffled by some of the kind of reaction to it is Okafor's performance. Now, I mean, even Don't Go to Bed Just Yet, the BBC Radio Leeds podcast, and there's a whole kind of viral clip going around where they're saying he was close to being subbed before he scored at our time. I mean, I'm absolutely gobsmacked. I love those guys on that show, you know, and everything, but I mean, I'm gobsmacked by some of the stuff I'm hearing, reading, and seeing about Noah Okafor, who, yes, did he lose the ball? Yes. Guess what? Attackers lose the ball. You know why? Because he was trying to create something. He's played 2 games. He's done more in those 2 games than Nonto, James, and whoever else you want to throw in had done prior to that. He scored a goal. He got us up the pitch. He was exciting to watch. He lost the ball. But the thing with Okafor, you can see he's a step up in the technique, the way he kind of steps over a ball, the way, you know, he's got that X factor, you know, and it's, you know, one of my concerns and one of the things we've talked about is Dan James going to have enough, you know, for the Premier League level? And you can see that level of just technique and that difference. And I'm just baffled that you know, some people, oh yeah, but he's not an upgrade on Ramazani. You know, we should have kept Ramazani, you know. I mean, why are we talking about Ramazani? I mean, I don't get it. And it's like Nonto as well. I mean, Nonto now it's kind of, you know, if you go back and watch what he did in the Everton game, look, I think he was fine, by the way. I'm not having a go at Nonto, but he didn't create anything. He didn't score. He didn't assist. He did nothing. Noah Okafor has 1 goal to his name in 2 games.
The most dribbles in a first half since Wilfried Zaha in 2017 on Saturday. I mean, Pope has been absolutely slammed online and some of his comments, and you know, people are trying to bring race into it, and I find that mental when, you know, you've then got Ethan Ampadu, who's got different ethnicities. You've got Jaden Bogle in there. Like, I mean, he's got nothing to do with that. Nothing. And if you think that Pope is kind of bringing that angle to it, you're just an idiot.
Oh my God!
You're just an ignorant idiot. But they does come without a doubt. There's a certain bias that sets into certain players because of the way that they can kind of carry themselves sometimes. Noah Okafor's, I think, got a bit of swag. He falls over a little bit too easy. He looks to win decisions a little bit
loose sometimes with his touch. Yeah.
But in the first half, overall on Saturday, he was really good. I actually was really impressed with his performance. But people then hone in on, oh, he's done that again. Brendan Aronson falls into the same category. Yeah. You know, Brendan's 45 minutes of work will be completely ignored because he makes a loose pass once.
Yeah.
And it's like it's all undone. Certain players just have that. I'll never forget. It's a bit like the Mandela effect, if you've ever heard of that. But Dan Harding, who used to be our left back, I can't remember where he was signing from, but I'm talking mid-2000s here. He used to get slammed, absolutely slammed in a league shirt, just because he was a bit of a posh boy. His face didn't fit. He weren't great either, but he ended up going on to be quite a good left back.
Yeah.
And Matt Kilgallen used to play alongside him on the left side of centre-back, and he was a Leeds lad, obviously, loved. And I came out of a game once. I'll never, ever forget this. I came out of a game once, and the whole bus was slamming Dan Harding for something that had happened during the game. And it was actually Matt Kilgallen. It was actually Matt Kilgallen, but they'd kind of rewritten this situation into it being another player. And it didn't even happen. You know what I mean? And that's what people do with certain favourites and certain, faith bits and all that. But I agree with you completely, mate. The widespread media around Okafor has been really weird.
Yeah, well, I also think as well, and certainly from the fan base, what we have to be careful of here is I think there's two things that are in their heads. It's Farke's not good enough for the Premier League. So it's literally any little thing we can pick apart. Oh, why didn't they, push the foot down on the accelerator second? It's literally any little thing. And also the 49ers recruitment. We all sat there when the transfer window closed and we were all kind of huffing and puffing. We were disappointed we didn't get that extra bit up front. And I think a lot of fans are now, well, the whole recruitment has to go into the bin. And it's like a little bias that plays into, well, Okafor isn't good enough or this or that. He can't be good enough because it was part of this recruitment window. And it's really hard for those things to get shifted. I mean, it's like Aronson. I mean, you've mentioned him. He's a perfect example. I mean, he can do 10 great things in a game and it's forgotten in an instant. And the defensive output's not appreciated. The bits of work that he does is good. Is ignored. Is he perfect? No, we don't have perfect players. There are no perfect players. We've just come up from the Championship. It's going to be difficult. We can't expect perfection, and it's to get those narratives shifted. I mean, it takes a hell of a lot, doesn't it, really, to get that moved. But I just wish we could kind of, as a fan base, just view it more game by game and kind of look at that overall picture. Because, you've mentioned Ramazani and Joseph, and I think it's a great point. And I did want to bring it up because, we all saw it. Ramazani went on loan to Valencia, came on in the 90th minute and got an assist in a game they were already winning. And, bloody hell, why? Everything's wrong. Joseph gets sent, he goes to Mallorca. By the way, we need these two to be successful. And so far, it's not looking good, certainly on Joseph's front. He's had 4 games, no goals, getting criticised by the fans. Yeah, kind of what we saw when he was starting for Leeds. Ramazani, he hasn't started yet for Valencia. Could change. We don't know. Shock. And, your man Solomon gets a winner in a Europa League tie for Villarreal. Shock. And, there's still fans that were going, Ramazani should have started over Solomon. I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
I mean, I saw people say that Ramazani's got a move up from Leeds to Valencia. They're comparing Valencia with the 2002 Valencia. Like, Valencia survived relegation by the skin of their teeth last season. They were rock bottom for a lot of the season. Carlos Corberan's their manager. Bear in mind, they took him from West Brom.
Yeah, exactly.
In the Championship. So, they're nowhere near what they were. And the fact that he's now a backup option over in Spain, I mean, he wouldn't have even made our bench at the weekend.
No.
He just wouldn't have done. So, people have got a really hard time with, I say it all the time, they get married to opinions.
Yeah.
And then when facts prove them to be wrong, they double down on it because they're just not big enough to say, you know what, I got this one wrong.
Yeah.
And there's no wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Ramazani, I think, is an all right player. If it was 19, I'd be saying, you know what? We've got a bit of a player on our hands here. Yeah. Let's develop him. We should keep him within the squad. Let's give him some minutes. Fine. But he's not. He's 24. He's coming into prime years. Like, he's not a child. He's way older than Nonto. And I think that's actually why them two are on the trajectory that they are. Nonto's still being kept here and hoping to develop. And Ramazani, you know what? We need to get him out and get him some game time. But I don't think he'll play that often. I really don't. And as for Joseph, I'm in the party too. Last pre-season, I said to all the boys in the group, I said, this kid's a player. What a pre-season he's had. I put a bet on. I put 20 on him being top scorer in the Championship, I swear, and he finished with 2. I couldn't believe it. But you could see within 3 or 4 games of the season that he was going to lose his place to Perot. You could see it. He wasn't it. He wasn't ready. And he's still not ready. And I mean, he's even further away from being ready from Premier League football. I mean, he's miles away from it. And, you know, Mallorca, yeah, they're a top flight team, but the Spanish division's not like the Premier League. Same as the Bundesliga. The bottom half of La Liga is like our championship in terms of quality and level. So they're like in a separate league. It's not the same. The Premier League, people get like kind of desensitized to it because they watch the Premier League all the time. It's the best league in the world for a reason. Teams like Sunderland can attract players like Habib Diarra and, you know, others. The bottom half, Philippe Luis at Burnley, top player. Yeah, they can attract players like that, even though they're expected to probably go down, because the bottom half of the Premier League is such a step up from everywhere else. You know, so especially Ligue 1, French league. I mean, you know, you're coming from Strasbourg, you're talking about playing bottom end championship quality. Like, you really are. So, yeah, mate, I couldn't agree with you more.
No, and look, you know, ideally we need it to work. We need these loan moves to work to either A, get a transfer fee, or have a player that can come back in 12 months and participate. I mean, if they bomb, I mean, if I don't know where Joseph goes, because if he bombs, if this carries on and he has a crap season, I mean, it's probably going to be another loan next season, but at an even lower level. And then you just go down and you end up in the Joffe, Sam Greenwood scenario where, you know, you just end up getting about £1 million or something 5 years when the contract's running out, and you know, it's off your hand. I mean, you know, we need it to work for them really to get some kind of fee or get some value from them.
I would certainly struggle to sit and enjoy watching people go and saying, "I told you so, it's so good." I would struggle. So
I know you mean.
There's a part of me that's kind of thinking I want to be right on this one, but you're absolutely wrong. The only thing that I really care about is Leeds United, and I want the values to be protected. So yeah, we want Joseph to have a monster season. I think with Ramazani, it doesn't really matter as much because I think the plan with him is to come back. But Joseph, I think especially as a number 9. You need him to protect his value.
I'll just sorry to interrupt. I saw one content creator, and someone must have been saying in the comments about Ramazani and Joseph, and he was like, "Oh, well, I haven't even looked at it. I haven't even paid any attention to it." And it's like, of course, because if they were scoring and doing this, you'd be all over it.
I mean, we both know who you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
We both know who you're talking about.
Oh, come on! You know, it's just, it's staggering. It really is.
But you see, like content creators like that, and I don't want to make this a big bashing, but content creators like that actually create a lot of the problem. Because what they do is they set the fans in certain directions because they are influential. That's why they're called influencers, right?
Yeah.
So like they do set fans off in certain tangents and directions, and that's why you then find that the fan base are all at each other's throats, even after a win. I mean, I had people coming for me about Brendan Aronson on Saturday. I'm like, for God's sake, just go and enjoy the fact that your team's won. You are so desperate to be right that Brendan Aronson's crap that you would have rather have seen us lose 1-0 and Brendan have a stinker and Daniel Farke get sacked than you do want your team to win games. That is true. They are among us. They're absolutely among us.
Absolutely. And you know what? And I know this as well because I was of that ilk. So when we were in the Premier League last time, and mainly before we started this, actually, I would watch those, you know, negativity, and I would be scathing about players. And I would be putting stuff on Twitter, stuff that I look back and I just absolutely cringe. And like, if there's a way to delete my old tweets, I wish I could, because, you know, I would talk about players like Click and Ailing and you know, because you are influenced by it, because all the noise and the narrative is around it, and it's what you're feeding on all week. You're listening to these content creators say how bad this is and how this is not working and blah, blah, blah. And you just have no perspective. You know, you really have no perspective at all. So you're absolutely right. They are influencers for a reason, but I just think we're 12th in the Premier League. We've got 7 points after 5 games. Come on now.
It's tricky, Brownie, isn't it? Because you don't want to be a lemming. You don't want to be a sheep.
No, exactly.
Have a voice around somebody playing poorly, but you have to try and apply context to being, you know, to give things a fair position and situation. You know, I say this all, and people just ignore it. I say all the time, Brendan Aronson technically is not a great player. Did we overpay at 25 million? Yes. Was it a bad signing? Yes. All of them things are true, but I can still analyze all of them and say all that, and then analyze the fact that given the squad that we've got, and given what he gives us, given the way that we set up, he offers us a lot when he's doing what he does really, really well. Other players can't do it. You know, the other, again, Saturday, people can't compute that what he does off the ball has helped us win 3-1. All they can do is just see he didn't make the pass that then went to Noah Okafor that then scored the goal. That's it. They cannot see it as in its entirety. Do you know what I mean? And it makes a huge part of what we achieved at the weekend. And I can see, like, I hate talking smug and arrogantly about it, but I can see that. And if you can't see that, that's on you to go and educate yourself a little bit more. It's not on me to start bringing myself down to a level where I'm just going to bash a player because they didn't get an assist.
No, absolutely. Thanks for your comments, guys. Jan Okafor is going to be better and better for us. Robbie, I was against the DCL signing. I really hope he proves me wrong. Clearly, we need to provide the right service to him to play to his strength. Just a quick word on DCL. Obviously, we spoke about him at the weekend as well. But, I mean, if he gets us 10 goals or so, 11 goals, 12 goals or something like that, and we stay up, I think we're looking back at that as an unreal signing. If that works, if that pulls off, and there's every evidence on what we've seen so far that it could do, I mean, it's a genius signing. Because we're not getting. I mean, if you look at the market, if you went out there and said, right, okay, we want to sign a player that's played in the Premier League for 7 or 8 years and scored 60 goals or 90 goals or whatever it is that he scored in the Premier League, how much are you paying for that person? What is that profile? You are paying. I mean, God, you're talking Man City with, transfer fees. It's not happening. We've got him on a free. And if that works out, and I think the great thing is as well, you've got Nemecha there as well. You've got Piru slightly different. So I'm not expecting DCL to be there for all 30 remaining games or whatever. But it could be unbelievable business if that pulls off.
The truth is, he doesn't sign for us without the baggage. So without the injuries, and even with the injuries and the baggage, he still had more, you could say, attractive offers than us. I think he's picked us because he thinks he'll be the main man. He's picked us because we've given him some assurances. We've given him a 3-year deal, which is quite a commitment to a player with the injuries that he's had. He's probably not been given 3 years elsewhere, would be my guess.
Yeah.
And I thought it was fantastic on Saturday. I mean, not just the goal. The goal in itself is a goal that none of our other strikers can do. And I would argue that none of our other strikers for years would have been able to do. I've made the point to you. I think probably Chris Wood would have been the last striker that could score a goal like that.
Yeah.
And we've been able to get him, like you say, on a free. It's been a minimal risk signing from the outlay in terms of what we've done. There is bigger risk attached to him being available, but then we've seen this risk play out and work before with Manor Solomon. They clearly really back the medical staff based on what they've been able to do with Sam Byram and Manor Solomon, and then like the recoveries of Ampadu and Gruev last season, who were coming back from long-term injuries. Even the Ampadu and Tanaka injuries that we've had recently, I mean, both of them were back way quicker than really they should be able to be back from MCL damage. So they've clearly got a lot of faith in that. And if you can make it work, again, with Dominic Calvert-Lewin, in a year's time, 18-month time, you might find yourself in a situation where, he's banged in 10 this season, 15 next. And Arsenal think, you know what, he's only 29. He's got a year left there. Let's go and give him 25, 30 million. I'm just using Arsenal as a,
100%. Sorry, mate, go on.
I was just going to say that's the player that he was directly before the injuries. The commentary team made the point the other day that he was the backup in the European Championship final for Harry Kane. We forget that.
Yeah.
And we listen too much to what other fans say, or we see the odd clip online because we don't watch Everton week in, week out.
No.
So we'll see the odd clip of him missing a sitter and think, oh, Dominic Calvert-Lewin's crap.
Yeah.
But the truth is you watch Saturday's game, you can see a proper number 9 there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there'll be a few teams, if this does work out, that'll be kicking themselves for not making a move. I mean, I even look at someone like Villa. He could have gone in and he could have done a job for Villa as a difference to Ollie Watkins, who's just not hit the ground running this season at all. What you look at West Ham, there's a few teams where you're thinking a DCL, a fit and firing DCL could really help them, because you're absolutely bang on. You just feel like you're watching a proper Premier League striker. Do you know what I mean? And the way he wins fouls, even little things like that, it just helps so much.
Oh, West Ham got Callum Wilson.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's who and we got by far the better one out of them two. And, Everton, since Calvert-Lewin's kind of started coming into a little bit of form, I've seen all over Twitter Everton fans like screaming blue murder that they've ended up paying 30 million for Barry and given Calvert-Lewin away for free. When you think about, like, Barry's a great example of this argument. We would have been buzzing as a fan base if we'd have gone and spent 30 million quid on Barry, a player that most of you would never have even heard of. You'd never have even seen him play, but you'd have been like, 30 million pound striker, must be good. Yet Calvert-Lewin looks like the better player out of the two who we got for free.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like it's not, the price tag isn't everything, is it? We've seen this. Well, we've been, again, it makes me laugh. People are like, oh, why are we not spending 30 million quid on a striker or an attacker or whatever? But then they'll play at Scream Blue Murder that we've paid 25 million for Brendan Aronson. You know what I mean? It's the same kind of thing, isn't it?
You can't win, can you? You can't win. Did you see, by the way, Diarra? And I only mention it because obviously we were heavily linked with him and all that. But Habib Diarra for Sunderland is out until December, and then if he's back and fit, he's off to the African nations. And it's just amazing, those little, we've talked about sliding doors moments before, and something like that can, we were all kind of disappointed, when he didn't come through the door, and you said, I remember, that's a big fee, that's a lot, it's a hefty chunk of change that I don't think Leeds would be willing to pay. And look, we know we've had a couple of bad injuries in midfield already this season, and that could hurt Sunderland quite a lot, couldn't it?
Oh, yeah, he was probably their marquee signing, I would say.
Yeah.
30 million, 35 million, I think it was in the end. I said at the time, because I was really disappointed that we didn't get that one done. I was excited by it, but I was excited by it by 20 to 25 million. I thought anything more than that would have been excessive. Now, look, injuries happen, and you build a squad because injuries happen. We'll be lucky if we get through the whole season without a 2 or 3 month layoff for one of our starting 11. Because I don't. What is the injury, by the way? I don't know. I did see it, but I don't
know. Actually, no. It must be
impact. Yeah, injuries happen all the time, though. Then it's kind of just one of them things that you've got to kind of just ride the wave of. But it could definitely hurt them. And I actually think, outside of the opening game of the season, I actually think they've been really disappointing, Sunderland. I don't think they've.
The underlying numbers that good. The underlying numbers good.
So somebody said online the other day that they've outplayed us, and I completely disagree. I thought they were great against West Ham, but West Ham are really bad, and they were in a real bad place at the time. And then they got beat by Burnley, and they beat somebody from behind.
Yeah.
Late on, I forget who it was, but they were really poor in that game up until really late, and the subs kind of made the difference. But the overall in kind of look of Sunderland, they've had absolutely no XG in one of the games, and had very little creation in a 0-0 draw a couple of weeks ago, and then Villa are all over the place at the minute as well. They scrape a point against Villa, but they did have 10 men, in fairness to Sunderland. My point is that I think it's a bit of an outlier at the minute. I think they're the opposite side of an outlier to the way that we have. I think we've looked good and probably deserved a fraction more, and they've not looked as great as what the points total suggests, and probably would have deserved a little bit less. And bear in mind, they've also played Burnley. They're the only
easier games, haven't they?
Yeah, they're the only ones that have lost to one of the other promoted teams as well at this stage. Yeah, so I think they'll be in and around it. I'm sure they will.
Yeah, you could see it kind of, working out like that, where they eventually start to slide. But look, a comment before we look ahead to the Bournemouth game. The promoted teams are all making a fist of it. Even Burnley. I think Burnley were tipped. Everyone thought they were going to definitely go down, but they're showing fight. They're showing vigor. And like you say, Aston Villa. It just boggles the mind. They are so bad. And it's interesting because Emery's done 3 years there, and you just wonder if that it's run its course a little bit. You know, I mean, it happens. I mean, they've not been able to refresh the squad enough. Obviously, they've been handicapped by PSR. They spent a lot in January on wages with Rashford and Asensio coming in. I've been watching a bit of Villa fan content, and they're panicking. The director of football's gone, and it looks as if it's kind of breaking down a little bit there. And then you've got West Ham, who I think Potter's. I mean, Potter's probably time. I've got to say, I'm not a big Potter fan myself, to be honest. And I saw a funny tweet, someone saying you can guarantee that there'll be Leeds fans if Potter gets sacked. Get Potter in over Farke, you can just see it. But I mean, it's fascinating to see, isn't it, Jace? I mean, two big fish there, Villa and West Ham, and they've got a real fight in their hands because the promoted teams are not just going to lie down this year.
Villa look really poor. I mean, West Ham look poor, but I kind of expected West Ham to start like this. We didn't expect Villa to start like this. Creativity-wise, Villa look really shoddy. I mean, even against Sunderland, they relied on a long-range Matty Cash shot that the keeper should have done better with to score a goal. So yeah, they see, and then they added Jadon Sancho, who feels a bit of a panic buy, and they added they signed somebody else on deadline day as well.
Harvey Elliott and
wasn't it? Yeah, I do think Harvey Elliott's a really good signing.
Yeah,
but it just feels like there's something amiss there at the minute.
Yeah,
and yeah, West Ham. I think you're right. I think there'll be a time where Potter gets sacked. They'll bring a manager in that'll keep them up because I think they have got probably enough about them. They've got some quality. Paqueta, and I think Fulkrug, if you play to his full capacity, is a really, really good player.
See Nuno going in there, Nuno at West Ham. I mean, I think he'd sort them out in no time, to be honest.
Yeah, I could see that.
Looking at class for them.
100%. I mean, what I do know though is the overall feeling from certain parts of the Premier League is that there is a fair bit of unrest, and we identified this in pre-season. The changes at Brentford, as an example. They're going to be in and around it. Fulham absolutely swept them apart the other day. Yeah. Swept them aside. Brentford are going to be in it. Wolves are going to be in it. They've got massive issues. They look like a championship side. They look every bit like a championship side. Sunderland are going to be in it. Burnley are going to be in it. I still think we'll obviously be in it as well. And then you throw in a couple of these bigger boys. West Ham, I think West Ham will be in and around it. I do. I think Villa will probably recover at some point and end up finishing 12th, something like that. I don't think they'll have a great season, but I think they'll probably recover. I still think Manchester United are going to be in and around the bottom 7 because I just think they're that poor. I know they beat Chelsea the other day, but Sanchez getting sent off after 3 minutes helps, right? They have got a bit of talent in there, but I think they're just so poor. I think they're so poor. Other than them playing at Old Trafford and wearing the Manchester United shirt, if you were to pick them 11 players up and put them in a Wolves shirt, you'd be saying they're in a bit of trouble.
Yeah.
You really would. The tosh, mate. They're absolute tosh.
What do you think of a couple of teams as well that had solid seasons last year, particularly Forest? But I mean, Forest, they're in 15th. They've got Postecoglou in. It's not been a good start for Postecoglou so far at all. For me, it just feels like the wrong appointment completely. Look, they've got a lot of attacking quality of Forest, but the way he sets up his teams defensively, I'm just not sure at all. And Brighton, Brighton in 14th have won 1 game in 5. I don't think. I absolutely don't expect Brighton to be pulled into it or anything. But I'm kind of surprised to see them 14th after 5 games.
Yeah, I think Forest are a bit of a basket, aren't they? This situation with Marinakis and Postecoglou and Nuno and all that's already happened this season. They've had a bit of a disjointed start. I've watched them twice. I watched them against Brentford and I watched them in another game as well. They've got some serious talent within that team. It feels like they should be completely too good enough to go down. I don't think any team's too good enough to go down, but you know what I'm saying? Like there's so much within that. Even defensively, Murillo and the Serbian Milenkovic, yeah. The quality out there in there. Sell's got joint Golden Glove last season, top keeper. And then, Morgan Gibbs White, Chris Wood, who's still going to score a lot of goals. The pace that they've got down them wings. Backward didn't look great the other day. I will say that. We maybe got a bit of a bullet there. I don't know. But, yeah, they just should have too much. Brighton are, I think, are a really funny one. I think Brighton have been flirting with going backwards constantly for
Yes.
years, and have just been able to kind of reinvent themselves with either, you know, the recruitment strategy that they've shown, or a changing manager at the right time. And it feels like that maybe will plateau and start stagnating and going backwards.
Yeah.
I've not watched a load of them, though. I will say that, for 90 minutes this season, so I don't know how they've played. You know, 5 games is a small sample size, and to kind of give them. They were 2-0 up against Spurs, and Spurs kind of fought back the other day. So we'll have to wait and see, won't we?
Yeah, we will. Our opponents then, moving on to Bournemouth there. Cracking start for them, sat in fourth place in the league, beat Spurs away as well, pretty comfortably. I mean, it's a tough ask, and Bournemouth, you know, such an interesting club. I mean, we nearly had their manager, Andoni Iraola, obviously. We all knew he was going to be fantastic, and the way he's injected life into Bournemouth, you know, it's no surprise to me. You know, pupil of Bielsa, you can see those Bielsa staples in that team as well, and you know, the way they've been able to kind of deal with, you know, several players leaving as well, and you know, they've been able to kind of replenish the squad. It's kind of almost the worst time to play them at the start, because I think there's probably, I mean, they tailed right off last season at the end, and it's one of those things where that kind of intensive style, you wonder, you know, you don't really want to catch them this early, to be honest. They're probably at the peak of the powers earlier in the season. But Leeds at home, we've won every game we've played against Bournemouth at home. You know, we were talking just before we jumped on about that dramatic 4-3 win in the March season. And it's going to be a really interesting matchup, is that. What are you expecting from that?
It's a tough one. I mean, they are probably the best side I've watched this season, and I include Arsenal, Liverpool in that. You know, I know Liverpool and Arsenal have got the ingredients to kill you at any time. But if you go back and watch the Bournemouth-Liverpool game, Bournemouth were fantastic.
Great,
they conceded 2 goals late, did Bournemouth, after pulling themselves back in. But they've got so much about them, the way that they move the ball, the way that they defend, the movement in possession and out of possession. They're just super smart. And they can kill you at any time. They can really hurt you. They're just one of them sides. And you're absolutely spot on with what they've done in the summer. You know, they lost arguably the 2 most biggest prospect centre-backs in world football, in Zabani and Højsund. They're both unbelievable. I mean, to lose both your centre-backs that then go to Real Madrid and PSG each is wild, isn't it, really, when you think about it? They're fantastic. And you wouldn't have even known. They've just seamlessly stepped down. And I don't even really think, I know they have replaced them, but the players that have been playing at the beginning of this season, I'm pretty sure were there last season. Senasai was definitely there last season, and he stepped up and played extremely well. So, yeah, I mean, to get anything out of this game would be a huge bonus at this stage of the season. Like you say, games, the timing of playing games does make a big difference. We were saying this the other day about after Europe and all the rest of it. We're catching Bournemouth at a bad time from a Leeds perspective. But at home, you'd always hope that you might be able to pull something out of the bag. I don't think they'll be coming and thinking that this is going to be an easy game. You know, we have now not lost a home game since the 17th of September last year. You know, we're over a year undefeated. Yeah, Farker out, right? Hashtag Farker out. So, you know, Burnley was the last game that we lost at home.
That's mad. That seems ages ago.
Yeah,
as well.
Game week 6 or 7 in the Championship, and even that were an undeserved 1-0 loss. So, you know, a long time ago, that was the last time we've lost a game at home in the league. It's crazy, really, when you think about it. So, I think I'd be delighted with anything, mate, if I'm honest. You know, you want to win all your own games, sure, but you have to be respectful of the opponents that you're coming up against. The return of Tyler Adams, I think that'll be interesting to see the reaction that he gets. I hate to say it, but the guy's class. The guy's class. I mean, he was probably our best player along with Sinisterra in the relegation season. And then he got injured in January, February, and it basically killed us. I think there's a chance we stayed up with him, because I think he made that much of a difference. But you go and watch Bournemouth, everything that they do rolls through him. He is the leader without the armband. Everything is dictated by where Tyler Adams is. And then the second they lose the ball, the ground that he covers, a bit like Stack at the weekend against Wolves, but just much better. He's there. He's constantly marshalling and shepherding the
Well,
opponent.
to get back from injury, hasn't he? He's done well because he's had 2 or 3 really bad injuries, and he's not lost any of his kind of intensive style.
Yeah, he had a bad ACL, didn't he, when he kind of left us to go there, and they signed him injured, didn't they, if you remember?
Yeah.
Which is
it's
testament to what they obviously thought about him,
Yeah.
and the player that he is and can be. But yeah, you're right, because it can mentally be really difficult to kind of still be the same player when you come back mentally. Like, have you got the confidence to send yourself into them challenges and put yourself in them dangerous areas? And he clearly has.
Yeah.
I mean, I like him. He was this part of the rat group, wasn't he? You know, he was there on the pitch on the opening day of the season against who did we play the first game of last season? I remember, I can picture seeing him. Cardiff.
Yeah.
God late. Tyler Adams were there walking with the players after the game, and then the transfer happened after that. We kind of wonder if we were going to keep hold of him.
At least we got a fee for him, though, didn't we?
Yeah.
We won a few, wasn't it?
25 million quid, wasn't it?
Didn't make too much money on him, obviously. I think we signed him for about 20, didn't we? But
yeah, I don't know what we made.
We got something.
Yeah, top player. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing us challenging ourselves against them, mate. I am.
Do you think we'll line up the same then? Do you think it'll be the same that we saw last week?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you know what? It's nice though, isn't it? You know, I love the fact that we've got someone like Tanaka waiting in the wings, though. You know, if we do. I mean, there's Farke's press conference later today. I think, but Bogle is a big doubt. I think there's that Joe Tiffany bloke on Twitter who I don't know if he's. I don't know. I mean, he was spot on about. He was the first one though that said about Tanaka and Ampadu coming back. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what his connections is or what, but he's apparently Bogle's out for a couple of games or till the next international break or something. I think he said.
Well, if it's a big impact, there's a lot of small bones in the foot, isn't there? You know, you can get a bad bone bruise. It did seem to be in a lot of pain. I think a week's a short period of time. James Justin will come in and do fine, mate. We signed him for a reason, and he will be a big miss because Bogle's one of our best players, if not our best player. He might even be our best player. Yeah. So, you know, but I think aside from that, I'd be very surprised if Nonto or James come back in. I think Brendan's done really well, especially last weekend. Okafor on the left, Calvert-Lewin up front. And the midfield trio have looked really solid, so I'd be happy to go ahead. I am excited to see Biol though. I can't lie, I am looking forward to seeing him at some point.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? I have put Stack in my fantasy team, but the problem is I've got Firmino in there as well, so I'm like, oh, it's one of them horrible ones, you know, where it's like, oh god.
Brownie, I had Stack on the bench last week.
I know. Why did you take him out when we were playing Wolves? Oh, So you benched him, basically.
I benched him because I had a bad week last week. I played the free hit. I took Haaland out because they were playing Arsenal, and then he ended up scoring. And I brought in Salah because they were playing Everton, and Salah had a bomber. He had a stinker. I even took out Ekatike, and he scored as well. So I've started fantasy so well this time. Yeah. I thought we're being super like playing 4D chess. And I ballsed it up big time.
Yeah, you can join our league, by the way. We've got us on Fantasy Football League. I don't know what the code is, but Chris is normally our guy for that. Just before you go though, Jess, I do want to give you a taste of what we did on our Monday show. But we've got a new jingle on the West Yorkshire Football Show now.
Okay.
I basically every time Downsy began to talk about Huddersfield Town, I would just play this. Which was nice.
Put him on.
Like that. Yeah. It was. Yeah, I played it at the end of the show, just watching his face. It was. It was enjoyable. Right, we'll leave it there. Thank you to everyone who's commented. Please make sure you like the video. Get subscribed to the channel as well. Myself and Jay, we will be back post match for the Bournemouth game to give our instant take on it. Let's hope it's a good result for the Whites. But I've been Stephen Brown. With me has been Jason Booker. Jason, thank you very much, mate.
Thank you, mate.
And we will see you again soon. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.